All right.
It's good to have you here, man.
Thank you, man. It's good to be here.
Our guest is a horror filmmaker, music video director, and late night talk show host. Cutting his teeth on YouTube, he became one of the first YouTubers in 2006, finally reaching consistent notability in 2009 with his comedy troupe Eccentric, and soon after in 2011 with his own channel, Five for Frost. He would go on to make countless music videos and horror films over the years, including, most notably and journalistically praised, being the first filmmaker to release multiple micro-horror series on Instagram in 2014. In 2015, he would collaborate with notable horror publication iHorror and produce Omnipotence for the compilation film By Felicia. And in 2018, he would release his first feature-length movie, Dead Day with Crime. He's now in production of his late-night television show, Five for Frost, once again, which is expected to air across streaming services in the spring. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Jason Damico Show, my good friend and fellow creative, Mr. Jaiden Frost.
Thank you, sir.
Looking sharp.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Everything's on point. The watch, the jacket, the rings.
Just adding a little bit more. I've only worn the color black since I was, I want to say 14, 15 years old. And then just recently I decided, you know what, I'm going to start adding a few things to this. And because the colors of the show are like, we use the browns, we use the blues. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to add a little bit of pop in there. And that's kind of where the direction of my aesthetic has gone lately. I'm still pretty much wearing all black, but then you just throw in some random color.
It works, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I love the 80s look you got going, man.
Oh my God.
I love the
it's inescapable. You know what I mean?
It is, yeah.
Doesn't matter how I walk out of the house. It's always 1985.
It's got to be. You're a musician. Most musicians still live in 1985.
Some great music. And it was funny because when you guys were doing
music.
the Ruby's Instagram live, and I was like, oh, hey, like we got to get you guys on the show, blah, blah, blah. And somebody was cranking 80s ballads.
Oh, me, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I live on it, man. My obsession lately has become synthwave. I am so obsessed with synthwave. And we're actually, with the show, I've got our main musician, our house musician, composing synthwave. So we can constantly have that. Synthwave and vaporwave. Vaporwave's fun, but I really, really love synthwave. And I've just gotten out of listening to other type of genres because it's just like, I can listen to the same synthwave album every day for 3 weeks. I cannot listen to like the same like hip hop album or anything. Like, I don't know, man. It's just something about synthwave just really sits well with me.
It's just a great sound. It's such a soundscape on countless timeless films. You know what I mean?
Right.
Stuff that you and I were both, I'm sure, heavily influenced by.
Like Halloween and everything.
Oh,
like,
yeah. And
Carpenter like really, really sealed in making that sound.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So, look, we got a lot of stuff to cover here. You've got a real scope of work that is just, you've done a lot.
Thank you, man.
You've done a lot, and we're going to try and cover all of it. But let's just start with your beginning stages, because you always started kind of with the fascination of the camera with the skate filming years, and just wanted to dive back into those nostalgic,
Okay, like I appreciate. Wow, I was not expecting that. That's okay. That's fun. All right, so basically, I've got my first hands on my first camera whenever I was, I want to say 10 or 11. I wanted to be on the football team because I'm big as fuck. And I was like, that just makes sense. Like I'm like 6 foot something already at 10 years old. Put me out there. So I decided that that's what I was going to do. And I was too young. But the coach said, you know what, this is, he understood that I wanted to somehow be a part of something, and he was just like, come out and shoot this shit, and I will give you this camera, and it was this big-ass shoulder boulder. He's like, come out and shoot the game so we can watch them in practice, et cetera, and figure things out. So I did that whole season, and what really, and that, most people were like, oh, the second you held the camera, was it just like fate? And I was like, no, what happened is I was really fucking bored, like next level bored. And I was sitting in the, not the dugout, I don't know, it was where they keep like the scorekeeper shit. And I was up there and I had the camera and it was pointed out. And I guess I just didn't realize that I bumped it because it was sitting on sticks. And I was just like, whatever. And then it turned and it got a shot of my Mountain Dew can. And then you could see the football team in the background. And then there was an American flag waving. And then it just stayed like that for like 10 minutes. And I didn't realize, and I was like, oh no, and I fixed it. I was told later that everybody like marked out about that shit, like while watching it, and like later on they were like, it's a Mountain Dew commercial. They all felt like it was like a Mountain Dew commercial. So I was like, word, that's dope. And then after that, I kind of got creative, and then he gave me the camera. So I got the camera after that. Right. After the end of that season, he was like, you can have it. And I shot a little bit of stuff at home, but at the same time, it just wasn't the same. I didn't really get into it. And to your point, that's when skateboarding came into my life. And because I was the chubby fat kid, you put the camera in the fat kid's hand, you go record us. Well, joke's on them now, gave me a fucking career. But, that's what I did. I would go out there and I would shoot all that shit. And I would just shoot everything that they wanted, from photography to videos. And then I learned how to cut. And that's what changed my life. And I learned how to cut by stopping and recording. So that's how I was starting to do skateboarding videos. Like, if you bailed, I'd rewind back. And I was cutting in camera. And then I would take it and using the PlayStation 2 and using the camera, I would take the audio from that, run it into the VCR or the audio from the PlayStation 2, already had the song queued up with the CD. And then I would take the visuals from the camera, run that out with the AV into the front of the VCR. And then I would hit play on both of them at the same time, and then hit record on the VCR. And then I could add music to my stuff. And then I would start doing that by going out and shooting on individual tapes. So if it was like this was this person's skate part and this was this person's skate part, I would only use this tape for that skater. Right. And then I would do that and start doing things. And then we'd make credits by like drawing on paper and shit like that. And that's how Eccentric started. Was doing that. And it's crazy to look back on that now, man, because like this is the shit that blows my mind. I do a lot of like professional stuff now, be it like doing editing and like larger music videos, because I have friends that are just like, I can't handle the stress. Like here you go, like, and then next thing you know, I'm like cutting on a fucking Migos song. But doing that type of stuff, it's crazy because I learned the ins and outs of how they cut in Hollywood. Right. And they cut in Hollywood very, very differently than how I'm used to cutting. And I started doing that. And when I try to explain to people and everything on the way that you cut, it blows my fucking mind that at one time I used to cut inside of a camera and then push it out like that with fucking audio from PlayStation 2.
Well, it's a great place to start because at the end of the day, it's the essentials. It's like the primitive, because somebody was doing that 60, 70, 80 years ago.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? So it's good to go back to, it's kind of like in the audio world, just having a 4-track, because that's how I started.
I actually, the very first time I was ever in the studio was on a 4-track.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it's great that you started out that way. But that's just me personally.
No, I do too. It's crazy because I think about the technology. And like I said, I know all of these ins and outs of how to do these cuts. And I can't tell you how the fuck I thought of put the VCR and all that together. And it's funny because just recently.
Necessity's mother invention, or what? Yeah, I think that's
necessity's the mother of invention. Yeah, I've never heard that, but I like that. It's just recently. So I started working with Andy Schrock, and he's a YouTuber, a notable YouTuber and everything. He owns Revive Skateboards, like 3 million subscribers on YouTube. He's a fucking wonderful guy. I love working with him. And when I work with people, because we shot like a little short film thing for the show, and I guess I don't know if I can get into it too much on that end because like none of it's really sealed down yet, but we already shot a part of his segment for the show. And whenever I work with somebody and they come out on my set, I always give them a present. So what I did is that we had a long conversation on the phone about skateboarding and talking about like, watching skate videos, because his video Take Over the World was fucking amazing. And it was him and his team. And we would talk about running VCRs like to death, just playing the same damn skate video. So what I did is I went in and took the poster, fucked it all up in Photoshop, and then took a VCR tape, like a VHS tape, and then converted it So I actually went in and edited the video to make it look like it was shot on an old VHS. And then I did the technique I just explained by running it out. And then I did that with the PS2 and I ran it into a VCR and I converted it onto a VHS tape and gave it to him as a present. And his mind was blown. I was like, now you can run this VHS tape.
He must have
down.
got a kick out of that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Like he immediately posted on Instagram. He couldn't fucking believe he's holding a VHS copy of Take Over the World. So I always intended to make my own. Like I was going to have my own copy too. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to watch it. I still haven't done it yet because I'm a huge VHS collector.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I have way too many VHS tapes.
Well, you said something that was interesting about the Hollywood cutting style or just the technique behind it. You were in California.
Yes.
For a few years.
No.
Months?
No. I was there for a fucking week.
Why did I think you were there for?
Most people did. Okay, so I'm North Carolina as fuck. Like that is who I am, in and out. And see, and you're not wrong. Most people thought I was in LA for so long, but I just couldn't do it. I went out there and I met my mentor, Brett Novak. He's absolutely wonderful. I got his YouTube channel tattooed on my hand. We're both old YouTubers and everything. He is just, they call him the Steven Spielberg of skateboarding. He is just so fucking good. And he was like, yo, come stay out on my couch.
I remember that part of the story.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was just for a week.
It was a week because as I was out there, like he gave me the red carpet treatment and he was like, here, I just got this big check from doing this job here. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of you. Cause I went out there with fucking $50 in my pocket. And I was intending to leave, like move there. Like I had the ticket. That's it. I had no ticket home and I did that and did all the shit and sold everything that I owned except for my camera and my laptop and some clothes. And okay. And I also bought like a fuck ton of Nutri-Grain bars and a bunch of like, I had no idea what the hell health and fitness was at the time. I should have, like, I thought that it was like, yo, if I take these vitamins and I eat these Nutri-Grain bars and then I give myself all the nutrients I need, I'm gonna live, right? Like I did not realize like calories were a fucking thing. I don't know. I was sadly enough 22, 23 years old. I should have known. But still, I was out there for 7 to 8 days, and it was about the 7th day that I realized like I'm gonna move back. And the reason why is like I kept meeting people, and the more people that I would meet, because I was there for the Oscars, for the protest at the Oscars, whenever Life of Pi, like Rhythm and Hughes were protesting outside of the Chinese theater.
Right.
So I was out there for that. And unfortunately, I lost all that footage. I'm so sad about it. There's still pictures of me out there with them, but I did shoot all of this. And I went out there in a suit with a green tie because of green screen and everything. But I was out there, and on the way there, I was sitting on the fucking like train going down, and I was talking to the guy, and this guy was telling me about how he hasn't done much, and he asked me what I do, and I was like, I did music videos back home in North Carolina, stuff like that. I did some films. I was just transitioning into horror because it was what I really wanted to do. So I just did my first actual horror film with it was a collaboration with my little sister.
Right.
So I was like kind of sitting a little high, but at the same time, I'm in LA, so it doesn't really like everybody out here. But I still felt a little bit confident because he said he hadn't done anything. And then I was like, okay. And he was like, well, the horse, I think he said horse, if I'm not mistaken. He said, the horse in Thor. And I was like, I guess I haven't seen it. He's like, well, it's Maine. I made that. And I'm like, oh. And he's like, yeah, and I did a few things in this Avengers film and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, and you're telling me you haven't done nothing? Is that the fucking mentality? And then I started talking to people in LA, and everybody has this weird, like, mental like block where they don't believe they're doing anything, even though they're working on these big music videos and these big movies.
Right.
And it really knocked me down. And it's funny because my mentor said whenever I got to LA, he said there needs to be a big sign in LAX that says, and we the whole time we were there, we were doing the old transatlantic accent, but it's like, welcome to Hollywood. You get a better ego when you get here. And it's
good, man.
It is, man. It's true. And my ego got shut the fuck down so fast when you meet these people that are doing things and they don't believe they're doing anything.
Right.
And that hurt. And I remember talking to my mentor about it. I was like, Novak, everybody out here believes they're not doing anything, but they are. And he was like, and he explained to me the Hollywood mentality where there's two ways you go. You either believe you're doing something because you're surrounded by people who are actually doing something, or you get stuck in this rut of creating for other people as part of the beehive and you become just a worker bee. And I was like, what do you think I should do? And he goes, I want you to live in LA. He's like, I love you being out here, man. It's great. I think you would thrive. But at the same thing, you can't do what you want to do here. You know, like you've got to worry. The cost of living is so high. You're going to be working on other people's things, stuff like that. You need to go home. I don't want you to go home, but you need to go home.
Right.
So I was like, okay. So after 7-8 days, I was like, he just pretty much proved to me exactly like I just couldn't do that to myself. So I reached out to my girlfriend at the time and I was like, book me a plane ticket, please. And she booked me a plane ticket and I came back and lived with her in Greenville. We were trying to do the long distance thing, but ended up not. It was long distance for like a week. But still, like at the time, it was the best decision for me, man, because I would not have been able to make my movie. I would not have been able to do a lot of things. I've got a lot of friends out there in LA right now. And I love them. Amazing artists. I'm not even trying to take a fucking thing from them, but they're not doing anything that they want to be doing. I got a couple friends that are. They're doing great things, but still a lot of them are working as worker bees in the beehives, and they're transitioning out of that. And if they're not, they're kind of caught up where I was saying before, where they think that they're somebody because they know somebody or not. It's tough, man. Great people though, and they're hard fucking workers. But that just wasn't me. You know, I knew that coming into this, I was always going to work for myself and I was always going to create what I wanted to create. And if North Carolina would give me that ability to do that, you know, because we have so many fucking creatives around here, so many people that are willing to bust their ass and do these things for us and work with us. Amazing talents. Why not use them here? You know, there's got to be a reason why the hell, you know, Hollywood sends stuff here and hires local talent. And, you know, so it's like, of course the stuff's here. So that was my thought process. And that's no shot at anybody out in LA that's doing it and they have that dream. It's just 2020, man. You don't need to be in LA anymore to do it.
When did you start writing?
Oh, man. Second grade.
Wow.
Yeah, second grade. I remember too, I wrote this short story, and I'm not going to try to tell too long of a story on this, but I'm very long-winded. This is why I have a fucking talk show. It's emphasis on the talk.
This is why you're here.
I'm glad.
This is why. And why there's scrub at it.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Because it's, yeah.
Miss Richardson, Mrs., either which way, Miss Richardson, she came up to me one day, and because I had written the short story, and then we did this thing for I think it was careers. We had to choose a career. Anyway, I chose mechanic because my dad was a mechanic, and I'm not going to get into that, but he had a lot more money than he was supposed to, and it wasn't necessarily being a mechanic, and I thought it was a mechanic. But anyway, I was like, yo, mechanics make money. Fucking all right. But I thought mechanics made money, so that was my thought process, and I wrote down I wanted to be a mechanic. Well, my teacher actually pulled me aside and she said, John, and John's my actual name. Jaiden Frost is my pseudonym and it's what I go by. It's what my friends know me by. But John is my birth name, is what everybody's called me up until about middle school. That's when things changed and I started getting a nickname. But she came up to me and she was like, John, you're not a mechanic. Your dad's a mechanic. And I was like, yeah, and she was like, you're a writer. Mm. And that blew my mind. Mm-hmm. But it also gave me an ego that I couldn't catch up. At that point, like being in second grade, I had no idea how to write. I just knew how to read books. So what I would do is I was on this quest to constantly fucking impress her. And I think I started disappointing her because I was like plagiarizing the shit out of some books, dude. I would like go and get books in the library and just start writing the shit down. I was bad about that. And I did it like twice. And I think she called me out and I stopped doing it. But I just kind of kept writing. I wrote my first book whenever I was in my freshman year of high school. I wrote my first book there, all on notebook paper. Lost that. I don't have it anymore. Still remember the story inside and out, though. If I ever wanted to sit down and rewrite it, yeah, for sure. And then I kind of took a break from that. I got into screenwriting, and then I took an online seminar with Richard Walter. I believe Richard Walter's his name. It's not Richard Water. It's got to be Richard Walter. I don't fucking know. But that's where I kind of learned the basis of screenwriting. And I would take seminars through UCLA, and because I had a friend who I mean, it's like it's a 10-year-old crime, but he was a hacker and he hacked in and got me a fake UCLA email address and got me, yeah, that's my life. But got me onto these seminars and stuff like that. And I was like, yay, I've got this, .edu like for UCLA. And then eventually I got it taken away because I guess that person like graduated. But still, I was using that for a while and I was able to learn screenwriting through that. And then that was when I was 18 years old. No, so that was a 12-year-old crime. But I was like 18, and then that's how I learned how to screenwrite. And I was inspired by Saw. It was Saw and the movie 21. Those are the two movies that really inspired me to. I was like, man, I want to write. I want to make a movie like this. And then I saw Clerks, and that completely changed my life. Now, I'd already known about Jay and Silent Bob. I had watched Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back many times, but it was Clerks that got me. And I was like, if this motherfucker from Jersey with all of his friends can write a movie this fun, hell, I can too. And I've yet to prove that 18-year-old arrogant asshole right. But I'm still out here trying.
Well, one of your big influences is, as you referringly call yourself the son of suspense.
Yes.
Mr. Alfred Hitchcock.
Absolutely.
When did that come into play? Because he's a huge influence on your work.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't know if it's notable. I don't know if you can see it, but it's definitely my appreciation for suspense and stuff is there. And it's funny.
Oh, it's there. Yeah, it's
thank you.
definitely there.
Because when we worked on DDLC together, that was a chamber play. And some of my favorite Hitchcock movies like Lifeboat and technically Rear Window was damn near a chamber play.
Right.
I fell in love with these ideas of stories being told in one location like this. And of course, My Dinner with Andre, which is not a Hitchcock movie, but I was kind of like, if Hitchcock did My Dinner with Andre and George Romero helped out on it, what could I do? And that's how I got DDLC.
Right.
Fell real fucking short of that one. But I tried. Like, that's the fun part. But yeah, Hitch really came into my life when I watched the movie Hitchcock. I love biopics. It's actually my favorite type of movie is a biopic. It's not horror. It's not comedy. It's not anything. It's weird. It's biopictures. And I don't know why. I just feel I can feel them like Trumbo. Have you ever watched Trumbo? Oh, such a good movie, man. Such a good fucker. The Aviator. Great pictures, man. I love them. But it was watching the movie Hitchcock about making the bird, like making Psycho. And,
so it's like it's almost like a documentary. It kind of.
It's a theatrical documentary.
Right.
You're watching somebody's life and actors are playing them and stuff like that. Like Anthony Hopkins played Hitchchok in this.
Oh, I got. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I love biopics, man.
Yeah, so it's like Lincoln or one of those. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so watching that movie, I just fell in love with it. And I started realizing all these weird parallels between Hitch and I, like personality-wise. And I was like, that's really weird. So I started looking into him. And I remember when I was a kid, there was always this scene. I thought it was a Stephen King movie. I swore it was a Stephen King movie because all I remembered was birds flying around and coming down in front of this big house. That's all I remembered. And it was like a cliff. And I was like, no, this is a Stephen King movie. But I could never find it. Turned out it was Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds.
And The Birds, yeah.
And which is in the movie DDLC, I make a reference to The Birds and talk about how The Birds was the first ever zombie movie.
And they get into an argument about... I remember that in the script, yeah.
So I really, really loved that element. But back to the whole Hitch thing, I just kind of fell in love with how he tells stories. And, it's just everything about how Hitch would tell a story really brought me to these levels that I can't explain it, man. I don't know. I just fell in love with every little way that he did things. And minus how he treated actors. I don't like how he treats actors. He calls actors cattle. I will never fucking agree with that. Actors bring your picture to life. They deserve the utmost respect. And I don't give a fuck. And here's a big thing. I say this to Ariana Tysinger all the time. I love her to death. She is by far the best fucking actor I've ever worked with in my life.
We had her on a few months back.
Oh, yeah. Man, I love her to death, man. And here's what just irks me. This woman will take the shittiest scripts. You hear me out there. You heard me out there. The shittiest scripts. If you are watching this and you worked with Ari, you probably had a shitty script, including me. She takes it and makes it amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just next level.
Yeah.
But nobody refuses to pay, like everybody refuses to pay her what she's worth because she doesn't have X and X amount of followers on Instagram, because she hasn't been in these movies, because she's not famous. It's bullshit that actors, and I know that you're an actor too, so you got to feel the same way. You guys are treated based on your fame and what you can bring to the picture, not what you can actually do to make the picture good. And that's horseshit, because when I get paid to come out, they know that they're paying for quality. They're not paying for my name. They're paying for quality. They don't give a shit. If I give them a price and they look at it and they go, oh, okay, they're willing to pay this much. But they won't do it to actors. And actors are the reason why movies become so good. You know, they take a character and they give it life. I'm not even an actor, and it drives me insane how actors are treated. And I have this argument with Ari a lot. Not really an argument. It's more of a rant. She calls me up and I rant about how badly she's treated. And then like, it just happens all the time. And I do that with anybody, man. I think it's bullshit. Musicians and actors, which both, that's you sitting right there, man. I feel bad like the industry looks at you, and it's horseshit, dude. I hate it. And I will forever fight for that. Just like I fought for the visual effects artists whenever I was at the Oscars with the protest. I'm a fight. I'm not even a visual effects artist. I'm barely a musician. I'm not an actor, but I will fight for you fuckers. I'm telling you.
We got to get you a tank, man.
Oh, I know. It is a big fight, but I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to do it because at the end of the day, like, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to say something. And if I'm going to be the person to keep saying it, like, I'll keep saying it. It's just, it sucks. It hurts.
Well, I appreciate the vigor. You know, I mean, look, you and I are both content creators. The only thing we can do is just see what we don't like in the world and just try to change it with what we do.
No, for sure.
And just and just, you know, that's why I started the show. There are a lot of folks in this area that with great stories, and they weren't being highlighted, or they weren't being heard. Or you go and see somebody play and they play, but you don't get to see the mechanics or the mechanism behind why they do what they do.
Mm-hmm. You don't get to connect with them, you know? Like
this is why I started this.
Yeah. And thank you. I don't know if you get enough thanks, but thank you from every artist for giving that platform.
Well, thanks, man.
Like I remember I was 19 years old and I was stirring up Fayetteville as hard as I fucking could. And there was a magazine out called the Fayetteville Feed. And I desperately wanted to be on the fucking cover of the Fayetteville Feed. I was seeing all these people on it. And I was just like, I've got to be on this cover. I've got to have an article done on me. I've got bands out here that's got 15,000 followers on MySpace.
Yeah.
I am out here grinding, doing all this stuff. I've got YouTube views. Each one of my videos have thousands of views. Why am I not getting called about this? And I started getting really upset after a while. It was like I made a goal. One day I will be on the cover of the Fayetteville Feed. And it was because the fucking editor didn't like me. He thought I was pretentious, and he actually called my band Aquance in one day into this really nice studio. And it was before podcasts, and he fucking mocked me. And it just, I mean, that hurt because I was at a position in my life. I was just happy to be there. You know, like I didn't want to have to deal with this type of like bullshit, but at the same time, I felt like I had to. And then years later, after I kind of started stirring things up with Five for Frost and had all that stuff and Vinewood and all these different things going on in my life. And I remember being at a zombie walk, and I was shooting a music video at a zombie walk, and I was sitting down. I didn't even live in Fayetteville anymore. And the Fayetteville Feed by this point was gone. And I was sitting down up underneath the market house, and he comes up behind me and he sits down and he takes a selfie with me. And I like glance over at him. I'm like, okay, and I'm not going to say his name, but I blocked his ass on Facebook after this because it really irked me. He sat down next to me, took a selfie with me, and I'm thinking in my head, like, you used to mock me, you called me pretentious, like, you really fucking hurt my feelings, man. I was a young kid. I didn't say any of that to him. I let him sit down. He took a stupid little selfie. And he said to me, if I still had the Fayetteville Feed, you'd be on the cover of it. And I said, thanks, man. And he walked off, and I immediately pulled my phone up and I blocked his ass before he could tag me, because I wanted him to know when he went to tag me, he wasn't going to find me.
Yeah.
That's absolute horse shit. You hurt a kid, man. I was a kid. You were in your fucking 30s. Like, I was just trying to get the respect of my peers. You saw I was craving that. Yeah. Was I coming off a little arrogant? Yeah, because I had to. You keep getting put down like that as a kid, you're gonna have to. You buck up. Your feathers come up. You overpresent
and look,
yourself.
you're a leader. Well, listen, dude, I went through the same shit. I went through the same shit with people, and I'm not going to say names either, but it's like, and I don't really talk about this stuff, but from folks that are close and that you look up to as like they're supposed to, it's like role reversal. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can relate. It's soft skills. There's so many people walking around in leadership positions, or they have
tenure.
They're a gatekeeper, and they don't. They're just so aloof to the humanity aspect of what we're trying to accomplish here, collectively and collaboratively.
Yeah, and I'll never lose that. I'll never lose that feeling that he gave me. I have people who hit me up that have 30 followers or something like that on Instagram. And I'm not famous by no means. And I'm not going to walk around like I've got the I'm not. But people will hit me up and say like, hey, like, check out my music. Yeah, of fucking course I will. Eventually I probably won't. If like I had 800 people asking me to do that at once, I'm not going to have the time in the day to do it. But at least try. Like at this point in my life, there's no reason. There's zero reason for me not to check out somebody's 3-minute song. Like now, keep in mind, I do block some people whenever I see the friend request come in, and then I get a pre-canned, like, check out my podcast. Oh, you just released it. No, you're getting deleted.
Right. Because it's just not the right way to do it.
No.
And look, I think you and I both, earlier on, we've made these mistakes. I know I have.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, because, look, it's a learning process.
And I think the problem is that I almost don't accept that anymore. I almost get offended at the idea of they're allowed to do that because of the fact that no one told me I shouldn't do it. No one told you shouldn't do it. We came up at a different time of the internet.
Right. Well, we were babies with the boom of Web 2.0. We still had freaking flip phones in high school.
Right.
Okay, or no phone at all.
Yeah. I didn't have a phone, and I got a phone like junior year. And it was a flip phone. It was a fucking track phone too.
Nobody had iPhones when I was in high school until like the last year.
Yeah. So because around 2008, 2009 is when the iPhone came out. Yeah. So it blows my mind, man. That but these kids know better now.
Right.
We have the Gary V's out there.
Yeah. The Gen Z.
Yeah. We've got all these people out here who are telling these kids, stop spamming.
Right.
Stop doing these things. Don't substitute hard work and humanity with bullshit attempts to try to be famous. Just work hard, keep your head down, and people will notice.
And provide a service.
Provide something.
Provide
something to the space,
Yeah.
And what do these kids do? They look at that, they look at the advice, and they say, no, I'm a send a fucking copy and paste to everybody because eventually they're going to listen to my band or my podcast. No, I'm not. And especially I will give anybody the time of day. Absolutely anybody the time of day. Just be a fucking person.
It's got to be the right approach.
Right.
It's got to be the right approach.
And also want my opinion. Want my opinion. My opinion. Not just real cool, not a view, not a number. Want my opinion. You're messaging me personally on my Facebook, on my Instagram, my messages. Ask for my opinion. Not just check out my stuff. No, I'm not going to. But if you said, hey, I would really appreciate you checking out my music. Let me know what you think. I would think you would like this because I know that you worked with blah, blah, blah or something. I'm
right.
like, oh, cool. Yeah, for sure. Because you just scratched my back. You told me that you watched one of my music videos that I've done. Why wouldn't I listen to a song that you did?
Yeah.
And
if you weren't, or if it was the vice versa type situation, then whatever, you did the best you could to try and get some business or get some exposure.
Yeah.
Because again, you're doing it from the right positioning. You're doing it from a healthier positioning than just check out my stuff.
Here's the thing too. You don't know who I know. You don't know who you know.
Right.
If somebody asks you, hey man, will you check out my music? And they're asking you yo, Damico, I really want your opinion, man, because I really fuck with what Cross is doing. I really enjoy your guys' work. Can you check out my stuff? Because I think it's within the same vein. And he goes, oh, or you go, yeah, I'll do that. And he's like, okay, cool. Let me know. And then you reach back out and you go, this is really good work. I think you need to do this and this and this. But overall, really great stuff. And then next thing you know, you're talking to somebody and somebody says, hey, do you know anybody that kind of sounds like you? I'm wanting to pay for your tour. And you say, yeah, actually, I think I do. There was this guy who sent me a video not that long ago. Let me check and see what he's doing because his sound would be perfect to open up for us. The next thing you know, boom, you're fucking he's bootstrapping off of you. But all it took was a little bit of humanity and caring about who he was talking to,
right?
Not how many people he was talking to.
You'll agree with me. This is 90% of this business.
Yeah.
Right, 10%. And we've had, I think you're probably 19 or 20 or I think we're past 20 episodes now, but I keep seeing this is still a baby show, man. This has only been around 5 or 6 months. But I keep seeing the same trend over and over and over again. 10% of it is just showing up and doing the work. 90% of it is the interpersonal skills, the soft skills, and relating with people and just meeting them where they are in that level. And that's it, man. And it just, it takes time. It takes patience. And it's there's no shortcuts.
There's none, man. There's zero shortcuts. I went homeless for this dream. I went homeless at 17. I took a book bag, 16, 17. I took a book bag, said goodbye to my mother, walked out on my childhood and slept under bridges, slept next to gas stations, slept on friends' couches. And I kept doing this. And every single time my friends and everybody would say, dude, get off my couch and get a fucking job. I would say, no, I'm a filmmaker and I'm going to find a way to make this work. And no one believed in me. And there's a reason why I'm the one hiring my friends now. It's just, it's because I didn't stop. It took me 10 years. And the same friends, like the friends that didn't believe in me, they're not here anymore. But the friends that did believe in me and was like, dude, you still need a job, but you can stay on my couch. Like, I love them to death. And like, they now work for me. Yeah. I'm now hiring them. I'm bringing them onto the show and I'm doing all these things. Like, I'm living my dream, and the people that helped me get here, I'm giving them a chance to live theirs. Then they didn't have to work in the direction that I work. Not saying any of my friends aren't hard workers. They're very, very hard workers, but they took the more conventional lifestyle route and worked really hard there, where I kept sacrificing towards our dreams. And if I can give like them a leg up, and it's like, oh, you're a musician, come be on my show, or you're a great actor, or you're a great professional wrestler, like let's start building you this character we've been building for years. If I can give you my talents, like absolutely. I didn't work this damn hard to sit on my throne by myself. And I will never, ever forget that. And there's no substitution for that amount of dedication and hard work. I say this all the time. I'm not fucking talented. I'm not talented. I don't believe that I'm talented. I'm hard-headed. Nobody could ever tell me I wasn't going to make it. Nobody could ever tell me that I wasn't going to do something. And that's just how it had to be. It just, I trusted everybody. Like, people would look at me and say, you know what, that's not feasible. And I'm like, you know what's not feasible? Most fucking things. But it still happened. You only have a job because somebody told him it wasn't feasible and he created your job for you. Don't tell me that I can't create jobs for people and I can't create a job for me. And I'll live by that.
Entrepreneurship, you know, I was going to get into production or social media, but that's just such a great bit there.
Thank you, man.
You know, just expand. I'm not going to ask any questions. Just expand on that for a second.
What? On entrepreneurship?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, it's a tough world, man. It's a very, very tough world. And like, as we were saying beforehand, before we started rolling, I genuinely feel like you have to turn your brain off. When you're an entrepreneur and you're a creative, you look at a couch and you go, I could fucking reupholster that. Could I reupholster? I could probably go and get couches from like thrift stores, reupholster them and flip them on Etsy. Or maybe I could start doing set design with them. Ooh, I could even have a shop. I could open up a shop. I'm gonna get a fucking storage unit and I'm gonna run it out of that. And you don't even fucking work on couches. Like, why would you even want to reupholster that? But it's just your mind. Your mind doesn't stop. And it's just how you look at everything. And if you go from looking at a couch to wanting to redesign and owning your own couch company, that is the problem with entrepreneurs. And it's an amazing thing, but it's also a weakness. I did a lot of studying before I decided to go into the route now with Five for Frost. I did a lot of studying. I watched a documentary on Hugh Hefner. I watched a documentary on Hugh Hefner, and I wanted to see how he built Playboy. And it was beautiful. It was intelligent. It was brilliant how he built Playboy. It was wonderful. But in the 80s, he took a step back. And then they started diversifying their interests. And now suddenly Playboy was no longer a magazine. It owned a casino. It owned clubs. It owned fucking limousine services. It owned books. It owned a record label. It owned like all these different things. And out of nowhere, what happens? Hustler. Now suddenly they're fighting and they can't realize why they're losing. And it's because they have put all of their money, their time, and their effort and their thoughts into diversifying their interests. Now, that's not always a bad thing. It's not always a good thing. You got to find where you need to go. Why did Sears, a century-year-old company, why did Sears crumble? Because they owned MasterCard. Because they owned fucking Allstate Insurance. Because they started owning different things that had nothing to do with fucking department stores. And out of nowhere, here comes Walmart, here comes Target, here comes fucking JCPenney, here comes all these things.
And then Web 2.0 just was the nail in the coffin.
Absolutely.
You know,
if you even,
Amazon.
Even looking at that too, you know, we go into Blockbuster and understanding why Blockbuster failed.
Same thing.
And the reason why Blockbuster failed, they had an opportunity to buy Netflix and they turned Netflix down. They did not want to buy Netflix. And the CEO said he didn't believe in streaming. And at the time, Netflix was only doing DVDs and mailing it to the house. But he said he did not believe in online distribution. He believed in more physical stuff. And streaming was in the future. It was buying more DVDs for more selections. And they put all of their chips into buying more physical media for their stores. And that's what fucking tanked them.
Yeah.
I look at these things and I look at these decisions and I look at all of that and I wonder, what am I doing that's similar? You know, everybody, like, I always say this, I don't like to win. I mean, winning's fun. Winning's great. Like I'm kind of feel like right now I'm kind of in a really cool winning streak, but at the same time, I'm in a winning streak that I created for myself because I'm sacrificing a lot of things in order to get a glimpse of what I want, type of thing. It's like I may not be getting $100, but I think I'm getting $1. Like that's kind of like my thought process. Like I'm making some type of profit, even if it's not the profit that you
well, because it's going back. It's you and I both. It's going back into the business or the LLC.
Oh, for sure.
It's constant. Never ends because we're just building. We're building.
Absolutely,
we're building.
And that's the thing. Like that's why I said I love to lose. Like winning's fine. Winning's cool. I do enjoy winning. Winning is a good feeling. But when you lose, you learn. And I love to fucking learn. It is my favorite thing to do. Like literally this morning, I went to bed. We got off set last night. We got home. I went to bed at 1:30 in the morning. I woke up at 5 a.m. and budgeted my entire business and went back to bed at 7 and then woke up again at 11 and got right back to work. That is who the fuck I am. I don't care. I don't even, like, people go, how much sleep do you got? I don't know, because I'm not paying attention. I love my life so much that I don't like to sleep because it wastes my time alive. And I know that's weird. People are like, oh, fucking
it's not weird because it's the same. It's the same thing with me in the sense that it just, dude, I hate weekends.
Yeah.
Because it breaks the rhythm. Because I have these phone calls that I need to make, or I have these things that I want to do to get done, and I can't.
Yeah.
Well, you can, but it's just not appropriate because certain parts of the industry or the world, they operate Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm. And see, and I appreciate that. There's a lot of times that I wish that I lived in that kind of world because you
can at least turn it off for a little bit.
Right. There's a quote that I love is like, a party every day is no longer a party. And every day of my life.
That's good.
Yeah. A party every day is no longer a party.
That's good, man.
And fucking, I felt that way about weekends. I used to feel like every day of my life was Friday. Every day of my life was Friday. And now that I've become shifted back into this workaholic feeling, and I'm happy, man. I'm happy working my ass off. I got a damn sty in this eye that I'm getting like, I'm just, like, I didn't realize I was like, am I that stressed? I never get styes. But yeah, like I'm at this point that I'm really, really happy with what I'm doing and I love to work. Every day is no longer a Friday for me. Every day is a Monday and I'm happy about it. I wake up, I'm on the fucking phone. I'm doing things like I don't care if I'm moving an inch or a mile as long as I'm moving forward every day. Every day has to be a next step of progression. There's a Drake line that I love. I love it so much. And he says, we drink it every day because we drink to my accomplishments. That is how I live my life. Every day, I don't give a shit. And I celebrate every damn accomplishment. I don't care. Like, literally 3 days ago, I woke up to be told by the Secretary of State in North Carolina that I no longer owned a business, that my business was dissolved. And I was like, what the fuck? So I reached out to my registered agent and I said, hey, I realize now that I paid you a little bit too much in 2018, did not pay you in 2019. I assume because I paid you so much in 2018 that I paid you for 2019, but it's saying right now that you didn't file any of my stuff. And they said, whoops. Fucking whoops. And I was like, okay, fine. You do understand that my company's closed now. And they were like, we can give you the paperwork to get your business back in good standing. And when I looked at the price of everything and I was like, shit, you know, and I literally, what's funny is I was just talking to a lawyer the day before who said, instead of owning so many companies, because I was going to own Jaiden Frost Presents and then up underneath I was going to have 5 for Frost. And then of course I owned both. And that's how the umbrella was going to work with the subsidiaries. He said, why don't you just own one? And I didn't want to do that.
That's what we do. Yeah.
Well, have subsidiaries or own one?
No, we just one LLC for now.
Yeah. And I was going to have different subsidiaries and everything. And I was like, by the way, we need to talk we need to talk about who you guys are working with. I hope is it an online company for your LLC? Or you guys do it all inside?
We've done it all inside.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm not going to say it on here because I don't want to start any drama. Man. Yeah, but I'm telling everybody, man. I'm going up to be like, yo, this company online, don't fucking trust them because they fucked me over after so many years. But still, like, man, I didn't deserve that bad business. But my point is that I woke up and no longer had a company. And after getting that advice from the lawyer the night before, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to close the door. It has been 3 really good years. I've been doing this. It was a DBA before it became an LLC. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing Jaiden Frost Presents for 7 years. And I thought about how I never paid my friends. I couldn't pay my friends. I was undercharging for everything that I was doing. I was asking favors from all my friends. And it was time to step forward and start actually hiring people. And I was like, it's time to close the door on JFP being just a kid with a camera and a computer, and instead open up and actually have a fucking company and contract out and run all this properly. And now I have lawyers. Now I have an office. I have a studio. We are setting myself up right now to have a phone number with it and everything, so I can actually have it delegated out. I have people working on a sales team and everything like that, all for 5. All for this. I could have done this with JFP, but at the end of the day, I didn't like the idea of it being Jaiden Frost Presents because there was so much more to us. And I noticed that my entire clique stopped calling it Jaiden Frost Presents and started calling it JFP. And of course that's cool because it's shorter. But then I started thinking about, why did they do that? They were all working underneath the banner of another person's name. His first and last name. They were working just as hard as me, but they had to call themselves by my name? It's fucked up, man. I didn't like it. So coming into this, and I actually had a long talk with my wife, and I was like, I wish that we could just make it the Frost Presents, because she works on all this too. She's a special effects makeup artist. She's a set designer. You know, she acts in things. There's a lot of production managers. She just kills it. And then she's got to work underneath my name, like she's not important. I hated it. But the Frost Presents just didn't fucking ring a bell. Like, it wasn't fucking catchy. So closing the door on JFP just made sense to me, and bringing it into 5 for Frost, because 5 for Frost is, of course, it's 5 for Frost. That's what it's known for. It's known for me, but I'm not the only Frost on the show now.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. So the show is late night.
Yes.
YouTube. And more.
Yes. Multiple streaming networks, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram live. They're all streaming live every Tuesday when it comes out, every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. And then we're thinking 9:30 or 9. I don't know. Runtime's a bit heavy. So I'm trying to see.
2 hours.
Yeah, 2.5 hours is where we're sitting at. So I'm thinking we might go 9, but
9 to 12 or 10:30, 9:30 to 12. Yeah.
Around there. So having that show and doing that, and then distributing it that way, but we're also going to have 10 episodes that are going to be on multiple other streaming services that people can binge. So while we're airing weekly live to everybody, you could have already watched that episode by having a subscription service.
Right.
Yeah. So I can't discuss who everybody is, and that's the difficult part. Every bit of paperwork that we had set up for this show, all canceled because the JFP is gone. So yeah, now I have to go back through with all the licensing and talk with these companies again and get everything back down in paper for the new company.
Oh, you just swap. I mean, it's a pain in the ass.
It is.
But
it is.
You know, it's just swapping out the name, I'm sure, and then
the changing the EIN number, and then making sure that we sign on the dotted line for a different company. Everything has to be changed within the contracts, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But yeah, I wanted to have that. I wanted to be able to be my whole goal behind that, and I don't want to get too much into my thought process on why I decided to do it. Is I could give exclusive streaming rights to one of these streaming services. I could have. But I really love the idea of putting my show just the way it started, where you didn't need to pay money to watch me. I like the idea of like whenever you're sitting at home when you're a kid and you're like, I'm gonna watch Letterman. You didn't need fucking cable. If you wanted to watch Carson, everybody in the world can just turn on Carson.
Yeah.
I love that fucking feeling, and I didn't want to take that away. That's what kind of gave me my start. So streaming it on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram all live at one time so people can tune in and talk, it takes away things, but at the same time, I feel like it gives more than it takes. And
you just got to trust that it's the same thing with this, man. You just got to trust that it's going to
find its audience.
Yeah, that's just going to do what it needs to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all you can do, man.
For sure.
That's all we can do.
For sure. And I think that's what it's going to do.
Yeah.
Just like this is. I've watched it. I've sat back myself and been like, give me that fucking call, Damico. Give me that call.
Dude, you could have just DM'd me, man.
No, man.
Come on, man.
I know. What, DM you? Well, you fucking accidentally blocked me.
That was an app.
Okay, so just so everybody knows,
this is actually pretty funny.
Yeah, he did so it was around the same time we did it because.
By the way, this is all your fault because I saw your post 2.5 years ago when you did it to clean out your account. I was like, oh, that's a good idea because I might have ghost followers. Mm-hmm. So then I did it.
Yeah. So he clears
out.
You. Because what it does is it unblocks people and blocks people. And I guess I didn't interact with you.
Well, because you were that or your account, because you changed your account once or twice, right? You had 2 accounts. So one of them was maybe a little bit.
Yeah, you probably still follow Jaiden Frost Presents, the company page. But either which way, still,
I don't know, whatever.
He accidentally blocked me, y'all. He accidentally blocked me, and I've been blocked for like 2 fucking years. So take that up with yourself. I was waiting on your motherfucking call. I thought you were off Instagram. So
Facebook. You got my cell number.
Yeah, I do have your cell phone number and all of that. Okay, so I can be a bit. I was waiting on the call, man. And whenever you suggested it on Ruby's Live,
it all goes back to Ruby.
Yeah, it does.
All goes back to Ruby.
Everything great in my life comes back to that.
And congrats, by the way, because you guys. What's it been? 6 months?
November 2nd is when we got married.
Oh, okay. So about. All right, almost 3 then.
Yeah, wow. Has it only been 3? Holy shit.
Why does that feel longer than that?
It's because every day is a fucking honeymoon and a picnic with her. And it's just, I am so happy every day that it feels
you guys
longer.
You guys are just perfect.
Thank you.
You guys are just like, it makes sense, man.
It's her, man. It's her. Like, I can't say anything. It's funny. I focus, a lot of people talk about like my relationship. They always say like, oh, same thing you just said. And I appreciate it. And I really want people to know that they can share the same thing. Like they can have that. Like all I do is like every day, I don't stop trying to be better than yesterday. I strive for perfection every day and I'm never upset at myself when I fail. Like if there is a certain checklist of things that I have to do to be a perfect husband and I fuck up and I don't get some of them, I work harder the next day to do it.
Yeah.
And I do that every day and I work hard and I spoil her and I let her sleep late and I do all these things and I give her the things that she loves and I work really hard because somebody has to make somebody's life beautiful and it's been my job to make her life beautiful and it's her job to make my life beautiful and I have to strive every day to be a better husband than what I was yesterday. And if I keep doing that, maybe one day I'll reach perfection, but I hope I never do because I want to keep working to be better for her. And I think anybody can achieve that, man. It's just
a great vision, great way to put it.
It's just being willing to be there and never just being complacent in the relationship, never expecting anything.
It's a dangerous place to be.
For sure, man. For sure. Directing to me was something that didn't come easy. And it's because of personal things. I really, really wanted to focus on becoming a better talker, becoming a way to kind of convey your thoughts. I watched a lot of documentaries on Wes Craven and other directors and would just kind of feel how they would do things. And then I would watch directors that I didn't know and feel how they would kind of do things. And that's what started kind of giving me this ability. Like whenever I start directing, I have director mode. I remember the first thing I ever directed, man, I was fucking terrified. I didn't know how to ask people for another take. I would just accept whatever take they gave me. It was just, it was so bad. And then I realized one day that I had to be a good director. I had to be. I couldn't just bullshit anymore. I had to be. So I started learning, like I said, and now I remember I did a fucking whole crew of like 30 to 50 people. And I had Crafty going on, and we were setting up for one shoot over here, and I had the set designer, and I had all these people, and everybody's running around, and like I'm running up to my AD, and I'm like, bring this over here, move it over there. Where are we sitting on makeup? Makeup department. I'd walk up, and they go, give us 15. I'm like, that's good. Move over here. Move the extras in. We're gonna move through over here. Bring the dolly in over here. I want to see these trucks over here. And like I was just killing it on a crew of like 30 to 50. I can't even remember how many people were there counting extras, but we just threw the fuck down. And to me, it was second nature because it was my set. It was my time. Literally last night, we were shooting the show and I felt so bad because I had been so overwhelmed being a producer that when we got on set and we were shooting 5 and Ruby and Greg started, fidgeting and moving around and knocking the mics and shit. And we cut right after a couple segments, and I stood up and I got an attitude with him. And I was like, guys, this isn't our fucking first time. This is an epic. I love that you're comfortable. I really love that you're comfortable. And I was like super rude about it. And I had to take a walk. I took a walk. I walked out of the studio. I walked down, took a couple laps, and I came back and I said, I'm never going to talk to you guys like that again.
Yeah.
And I am really, really sorry. And they were like, no, you were right. We shouldn't. I was like, it doesn't matter if I'm right. I need to respect you. I need to talk to you with respect. And I did not. And I'll never fucking do that again. And they were like, it's okay. And I'm like, it's not okay. Because it's not. Just these directors, these tyrants, they don't need to fucking be that way.
Yeah.
And I will never be that way. I will respect every single thing an actor or a crew member does. I will never come down on them. And if you're going to be like that on my set, I'll kick you the fuck off. I don't care if you're the star of the motherfucker. You're not going to come onto my set and treat any of my crew like that. And if I'm going to kick somebody off the set, whether or not they're a star and treating my crew like that, I'll kick myself off the fucking set. And that's what I did. I kicked myself off the set last night. And I was like, you fucking go take 5, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
Because you can't do that. And like, to me, that's directing changed my life, man. It just changed my life. It taught me how to talk. It taught me how to treat people. And it taught me how to be a better man. So I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things, you see a lot of people direct. There's an art to it. I think even more than an art, there's an innate gifting that's just there. I've had to direct by default because just for budgeting purposes, and also because I know what I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the tough part too. When you know what you want, yeah.
So
I'm like that with being a cinematographer.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I got into cinematography too. Wouldn't call myself excellent by any stretch at all.
I think you're good.
Well, thanks.
You got a good eye, man.
I have a good eye. I do.
You have a good eye.
I could say that about myself now, and I like learning from others that I thought their choices were spot on, and I wouldn't have done it any other way. And then I just keep asking myself, and it's the same thing with the audio community and mixing and recording and all of that. And that's how I've had great mentors, but also the self-teaching process over the years. Yeah. Constantly questioning why did they do this instead of the other 1,000 methods that they could have did. Why this? Why that? Why do I like this? Why do I not like that? And that's the learning process of the self-awareness part. And then also, and then you go back to things and, all right, well, okay, that was a little over the top, or all right, that was a little too okay. I can see where they made those comments. All right, next time I probably won't go down that road, but we're just in process.
Yeah.
But back to the directing thing.
No, I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's a learning process. Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of trial and error to get to where you need to be in order to bring it. Like, I had to direct a bunch of shitty shit to get to even kind of have an idea what I'm doing. And it's funny because I look at some clients from the past and I'm like, no, I don't blame them for never coming to me again. I was so young, I had no idea what I was doing. You know, and if you come to me now, like, that's the thing too. I made a conscious effort to not be a director for hire. I technically am, but you don't hire Jaiden Frost to shoot anything. You hire Jaiden Frost because it's Jaiden Frost. And I made sure to do that.
Branding.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
I didn't want to be like a nameless director. I didn't want to be a director that was just good enough. You came to me for a reason. And I love that. You came to me, like, I have this big thing. Like, I've turned down money and I've turned down bands. And I'm like, sorry, guys, I'm not McDonald's. This isn't a have it your way.
Differentiation.
Yeah. You're coming to me for a collaboration.
That's right.
Right. You're not coming to me so I can just do what you want. I mean, I did just have a meeting with a band. They're going to be doing musical guests on the show. And they're doing a military-based music video that's kind of documentary that I wouldn't do. And I straight up said to them, I was like, I'll shoot it for you. I'll produce it. I'll help direct it, or I'll help assist on your directing, but you're going to direct it. It's not my vision.
Right.
I don't know how.
Right.
It's not that I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a great idea, but you're going to see me standing there not knowing what to do, and you're not going to feel confident. Like, I'm going to need you to understand that you have to know everything in and out of what you want in the long run, and I'll help you get there. Because he's not used to directing. He's the vocalist of the band. But still, like, it's going to be directed by Roger Glenn at the beginning. It's not going to be directed by Jaiden Frost because I know my limitations. It doesn't matter if I think it's a good idea. Like, I just helped my friend, Ben Neville of Illuvion Pictures. He did an amazing documentary called fucking Portrait of a Santa Claus. And he went in and documented this guy who plays Santa once a year, and he looks like Santa Claus, Santa George. He's amazing, such a great guy. But whenever I met Santa, I did a little shoot down in Jacksonville for Cracked It Escape Rooms, and I met him, and it was just amazing. It was just such a wonderful experience. Cracked It by far is one of the best escape rooms that I've ever been to, and they went all out for their Christmas room. And they had a Santa come in and all this stuff, and we did the video. And I immediately called Ben up, and I was like, dude, you've got to do a documentary on Santa. And he was like, awesome, will you help? And I said, no. Like, I will help you produce it. I will help you cut it. I'm not going to direct it,
right.
And I'm not going to shoot. I shot some B-roll for it just because when I was helping cut it, I was like, we really need some stuff here. But other than that, and I did give him some of my shots that I shot with Santa at Cracked It, and I was like, here, you can use those in the documentary as well. And you can clearly tell it's mine because he shoots very documentary, and which is good. He's got a great documentary eye. But then you see mine, and mine is like smooth, crisp, like cinematic Santa Claus. And it's like,
yeah,
of course. But still, like, that's the thing. I knew I wasn't going to be able to put that together. I knew that it was going to take his work, his effort, his eye, and then me just kind of molding it in post.
What are some of the biggest lessons learned, like 2 or 3 from directing? What would you say in the last 5 or 10 years?
The first one, no, I don't even have 2 or 3, man. I have one. I have
Great.
one, and this one, I will take it to my grave, man. I believe that every director needs to hear it, and it comes down to music videos too. Every person who wants a music video made needs to understand it too. Murphy's Law should have been created for filmmaking. Anything that can happen will happen. Never marry your original idea. Allow it to happen on set and direct it to come to life from there.
Yes.
That is the best thing that I can say, man. I do this whenever I shot DDLC. I remember I had a script supervisor there, and I specifically hire a script supervisor for 2 reasons, and this is one of the main reasons. We're sitting there on set, and the main actor turns to us and goes, line? And I'm like, line? And they're like, they're like, you don't know the lines? Where's your script? And I'm like, I don't have one. I don't read my scripts. I write them. I give them to everybody else. They learn them. I'm done. Once everything's greenlit, I don't marry that script. They're going to know that script, and I'm going to see it on on set.
Yeah, because you want to see it from a different angle. You want to see it from the real time aspect. And this is the thing that always drives.
Because it could be awesome on page. It could suck in person.
This is what drives me crazy about musical theater, because I grew up and I love it. I love the art form, but you would always get your notes at the end of these long ass rehearsals, and it was always like libretto, you know. It was just like, get the punching bag out. Yeah. I'm a punching bag because it's like 20, 30 lines got botched. And it's like, listen.
It's fucking theater, too.
Listen, I know it's a libretto, but at the same time, we're doing take after take after take, rehearsal, whatever. If it's in a film medium or on a stage medium, you got to leave room for the air. Yeah. There's got to be some of that natural. I mean, this is happening now. We're trying to capture a performance now. So you and I are on the same wavelength with that.
And I think everybody should be, man. And here's the hard part about explaining it to musicians. They spend so much of their lives creating these songs, and they rehearse them, and then they've rehearsed them over and over and over and over and over again. And then whenever they do that, they fucking, here's the ridiculous part, they go into the studio and re-rehearse it. And then they record, and then they section things out and go, that's not right. And then they re-rehearse some more stuff and do that. You can't do that in filmmaking. What you shoot that day, there's no coming back 3 days later to re-record it. You can't afford that in independent film for damn sure. You're stuck with what you got. And that's the thing to go, it's so much different than what we discussed before. And not everybody says that, but I've had a few people, and I'm like, of fucking course it is, because what we discussed on paper in our meetings wasn't a real thing. This is a fucking thing. Like, no one expected somebody to say these words this damn way. Like,
you've got to surrender to the unknown.
Yes.
Hugely. And I mean, you can do location scouting and the whole 9 yards, but you know what? Until that camera's on, until the lights are up, and until your stand-ins are in there, and even when the stand-ins come out, it's like, look, it's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, yeah, man, it's just like people get so, and I was guilty of this for years, and we still are, man. We still are at times.
Yeah.
But yeah. I love that. Don't marry. Do not marry the first idea.
No, I let it go.
Whatever.
Man.
Yeah.
I let it go because it's got to come to life on set. It's got to come to life before your eyes, and then you take those things that you learn from that, and you build upon it, and it becomes something new. It becomes something breathing. Like, I can honestly say everything that I've done, I look back at it after it was finished, and I was like, this was nothing like I was planning. And that's may sometimes be a good thing. It may sometimes be a bad thing. But at the end of the day, I want it to come to life, man. And there's no arrogance there with me. Like, I'm as a screenwriter too, because I screenwrite my own shit. If you want to change the line, change it if it's not working. It could be a great line, but if you're not going to say it right, it's just going to sound stupid.
Right.
So I just let them fucking say whatever they want. Whenever I was a kid, man, the dumbest fucking thing I would ever do is be like, just say fuck with it. Just add the word fuck in it. It makes it better. Like, and then like that's actually where the thing for Five for Frost came from, where it says
the intro, right?
Yeah, and it says I say fuck a lot. It came from we would say that about Eccentric on YouTube because I would always get them to say fucking things. They'd be like, hand the water bottle. And I'm like, that sounds bad. Add fucking there. And it's like, hand the fucking water bottle. And I was like, there it is. That one's a good line. And like, I would do that for everything. So be like, hand the fucking water bottle. What the fuck is this? And it could be like the whole thing. But that was my way of
have you seen Mad Men?
No, man.
It's a very good show. You would really like it as far as choices in cinematography. But I'm on season 4, and it just hit me on a subconscious level, or maybe even an unconscious level. Well, it wouldn't be unconscious because I'm aware of it now. But basically, I realized, oh wow, there's a lot of smoking in these scenes. Oh wow, basically every scene has smoking. I don't know what I think of this in the sense of, is it overdone?
Yeah.
But I know why they're doing it.
Why are they doing it?
Well, they're doing it because what it does is it adds some blocking. So instead of just two people having a conversation, now me personally,
No, I think you're right.
But me personally, I think if they dialed it back 20%, because but then again, this is 1961, 1962. This takes place in the 60s. This show, people were smoking all the time.
Yeah.
So that may be the reality of it. You know, they walk it. You know, Don Draper, his office, Cooper walks in or whoever. Immediately, the scotch is being poured. That's probably how it was in the 60s.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sure.
You and I weren't there. But,
No.
You know, it's kind of a foreign entity to us now. But from a blocking standpoint, it does add that little bit of...
Shit, I mean,
it adds that little thing.
I don't mind walking into any room
like
where
garnish.
Scotch gets poured. Like, that would have been nice. We walked in here and a Scotch got poured.
I had a great Scotch the other day when I was shooting with Ian Schreier at Manifold.
Okay.
If you ever have a chance... Definitely check out Manifold, the $10 million recording studio down the road.
Okay, we'll do.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I'll try and hook you up.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Beautiful. But anyway.
Even though I just walked around and looked at shit. And I was like, ugh.
Good Scotch is good Scotch.
Yeah,
I haven't had
sure.
like a really good Scotch in a while. And I was like, God, it's so smooth.
I know, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, see, I'm weird about it. Like, I love a really good Scotch that's smooth, and I love a really bad whiskey that hurts. Like, I want to know I'm drinking a fucking whiskey. You know, people are like, oh, you want it on the rocks?
Boom.
Hell no.
Put that thing neat.
Yeah, right? It's right there, like, all of it. Like
double, triple neat.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And, like, I don't know. I just like really bad whiskey. Like Black Velvet. Black Velvet in the skeletal skies. There you go. Now you got to pay for that.
YouTube will block it out.
Yeah.
The pitch recognition software is
for sure.
It
is sophisticated.
So sophisticated. I want to talk about horror real quick.
Let's do it.
What your thoughts are on it, how you got into it, what the love is for it. Everybody loves a good scare. Everybody loves a good.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing that really got me into it, man. I'd never got into it because of something being scary. That was never my love of horror. My love of horror was the macabre. You know, like I love things being told in ooky spooky land. Like that is my world. That's what I love so much. And it's funny to me that only horror and comedy live in this world. And I think I just talked about this last night on the show. I don't know if we talked about it during commercial break or I talked about it on air, but I know that this is a really, really big thing for me that I want to try to change is that comedy, it's not considered a comedy unless it makes you laugh. And it can be a drama until it makes you laugh too much and now it's a comedy. It's not considered a horror until it's scary. But when you think about it, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Because if you look at a movie like Get Out, which is plenty funny, but is also plenty scary, but it's only scary to minorities. Like, I'm Mexican. I was sitting in that motherfucking movie theater like, no! Like, that shit was scary as shit to me. But, like, I'm sitting there with a white woman who's just like, okay. Like, and, like, that's the thing. Like, it's subjective. You know, scares and all these, it's subjective.
Right.
Just like comedy, it's subjective. It's really, really difficult to create in both of those mediums. And it's funny, is it median or medium?
Medium.
Medium? Man, I've been saying median like a dumb shit.
The median is a math term.
Oh yeah, or that motherfucker that I always run over whenever I'm trying to U-turn. That's also a median. But
touche.
So,
oh God,
with the way that I lost myself on the
God,
median
that's
joke.
good. That's gonna be a promo.
Thank you. So. Yeah, it bothers me, man, because it's only those two genres that have to go through that. And I don't believe that that's true. Like, Addams Family, that's horror. The Munsters, that's horror. But when you look at it, those fucking movies aren't scary. Like, it's tough, man. And that's the thing that I really, really can't stand. Like, my movie, it was a horror movie to me. There was a zombie in it for 45 seconds, but there was a zombie in it, and they were in a zombie outbreak and confined inside of a house.
Romance.
It's a romance.
It's a romance.
But the motherfucker was a zombie movie. Like, that is a horror movie by definition. But no, it wasn't scary enough, so it wasn't horror. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. If anything, we should at least come up with another genre name.
Well, and look at music, man, for crying out loud. Some of the best stuff, the timeless stuff. It's just great music.
Yeah.
It's a combination of genre. It's genreless. It's its own thing.
Yeah.
So why can't the same thing be said for film?
Well, if we look at it too, like, let's look at Ari Aster's Hereditary. An amazing fucking picture, truly frightening, so good. It's such a great, like, I remember I was yelling at my wife. I was like, why are you making me watch this shit? Like, I was yelling at her at the very beginning because that intro fucks you up. Like the first act, man, it's just out of nowhere.
I gotta see it. It's
dude.
It's rough from what I've heard.
It's intense, and I love it, man. I love it, but it's funny because it gets scary and gets really dark towards the third act and stuff, and it gets very paranormal. And you're like, okay, this is a horror film. It's a great horror film. Ari Aster claims that it's not a horror film. He claims that it is a family drama with horror elements. And I'm like, okay, you crazy asshole. Fine, we'll go with that. But then he releases Midsummer, and he calls Midsummer his first horror film. And I'm like, no, because this was nowhere near as good as Hereditary. So you're telling me you accidentally a horror film, and then when you made a horror film, it wasn't as good as your accidentally? Like, no. And see, but that's the difficult part if we're trying to rate a horror film based on scares. Because at the end of the day, they were both great fucking movies, and they were both great horror films. But if one's scarier than the other, isn't that like it?
There's a subjectivity to it.
Right. And that's just not fair to the whole genre. Because Ari Aster is by far, and quote me on this, he's going to be the first multiple award, like Oscar award winning horror director. I think that he is setting himself up within the next 5 to 10 years. He's going to be winning Oscars for horror films because he is making some classy motherfucking pictures. And I love that, man. I love how difficult the genre is. I love that. And here's the thing too, and I'll close on this, and this is my closing for like why I love horror so much. It's the only genre where somebody can say in the same breath that they love Hereditary, and then right after they go, and Pool Party Massacre is so good. And you're like, wait, what? Like, or Zombie Babes from Outer Space is such a good horror movie. And so is Silence of the Lambs. Like, it doesn't make any sense. We're the only genre that appreciates every attempt at the genre.
Right.
As long as it's done honestly.
Right.
You know, and
it's inclusive.
Yes.
And that's good.
If you suck at making a movie, but you tried real hard, we'll support the hell out of you. You know, if you tried to make a good horror movie and you're like mainstream and you make a bad horror movie, we'll piss all over your face.
Right, right.
Because we're like, get out of our genre, you know? Like, so that's the tough part.
It's kind of like rock and roll.
Yeah.
In a way.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like what were we talking about earlier with being gatekeepers? I mean, horror is really bad at being gatekeepers. And we got some fucked up people in this genre. We do. And like, I'm very quick to say, get the fuck out. You know, like I just said that to somebody the other day that fucked over some friends of mine. I was like, you need to get the fuck out my genre. Like, dead ass. Like, get out of.
Get territorial.
Right. Like, you're treating us like you're treating people like shit and like lying and blocking people and all this type of shit. Like, get the fuck out my genre. Man.
Right.
But it's funny that's how it turns out. Like, we get territorial, man. It's but at the end of the day, we're alone. We'll probably always be alone. But horror's fun, man. It's my family.
So 5 for Frost.
Yes, sir.
What do you want to call this as far as the resurgence or the reboot? Maybe.
I guess it's kind of a reboot. To give a brief idea, and I haven't really talked about a lot of this as to why I decided to come back and do it this way, is that I wanted to do it this way. I had tried doing it this way, and I didn't have the skills to do it. And I wanted to take everything that 5 for Frost used to be about. Me giving my opinion, me talking about this. Like, and I remember putting on a suit and getting in front of the my roommate's curtains and talking about movies. I did Grown Ups 2. I rated Grown Ups 2. And then I added in a little sketch in there and like a little fun segment. And then I came back out, finished talking about Grown Ups 2. No one gave a fuck. Like, and it was tough, man. Coming out, I was getting 25 to 75,000 views initially. Whenever I first started, really reaching notoriety with that channel, and then whenever I did that video, trying to do what I wanted to do, I think I got 2,000 views on that video. 2,000 compared to where I usually get 25,000. Because it wasn't like 5 things I hate about the McDonald's drive-thru or something like that. They were like 5 things I hate about grown-ups too. I don't want to watch that. So that hurt me. I was like, man, people don't want to watch me do something that I want to do.
Right.
So I stopped doing that, and then I closed the channel, and then years later, I jumped back on it and tried to do it again, and I gave it a late night feel, but I would try to give them what they wanted. I tried to talk about the things that I used to talk about, but more of a mature way of doing it. Because I was getting older. Nobody really gave a fuck. And they did. They loved the first 2 episodes, but it was mentally draining. Because I was like, this isn't who I am anymore.
There's compromise in the mix somewhere,
right.
Yeah.
And even though I had the pretty set and I was in the suit and it looked the late night way that I wanted, it just wasn't late night enough for me. I still felt like I was playing pretend on YouTube, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. And then coming back and bringing it, I used to do live shows, and I used to host a live variety show called Live as Fuck, and it was with me, and I would come out and do a Five for Frost, and then I would have musicians and stuff like that, and all these different people come out and be a part of the show. And I would do it every, I think it was every Tuesday. I think that's why we chose Tuesday for the show, is every Tuesday at the Rock Shop Music Hall. And some nights we would have upmost of like 200 to 300 people, and then some on the low nights we'd have 100 people. So it's still a great night, you know?
Right.
And I love doing this, and I didn't get a chance to give that spotlight to bands anymore. So I was like, if I do this, I want to be able to do it. But also, I don't want to talk to the fucking camera the whole time. I want to talk to my friends.
Yeah.
Let's have a discussion here.
Yeah, and just capture it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's when I brought in film historian Greg O'Connor. He's like a lifelong friend of mine. Brought him on the show because he knows movies in and out. He's a walking IMDb. And then my wife, who's a special effects makeup artist and everything, and she likes to look at movies from a social impact. She looks at the social thing, while Greg just likes to get drunk and watch movies. And me, I'm going to look at movies from making it. Like, that's how I look at it. Like, oh, I really wish they would have done this, or I enjoy this. And
you and I.
Right, for sure. That's why I can't wait to have you on the show, man. It's going to be great. So I looked at that, and I was like, you know what? And because I really wanted to have the discussion element, but being a good host means you let the person talk. So I let my co-host talk a lot. So my monologue is whenever I walk through the curtains at the beginning of the show, standing in front of the curtains, and I talk about how I feel about the movie and all this shit. And what I do too is really cool. I actually take any of the scenes that anybody's seen, nobody's seen me any of my monologues yet. I come through and I'm in a suit, and then I start taking off the blazer and I hang it up on a coat rack, and that's my tribute to Mr. Rogers. I start casualing down because that was one of the things I studied the great hosts. I'd studied David Letterman. I studied Johnny Carson. I studied fucking, wow. Why I just said his name and my mind went blank. Fucking, I've been talking so much I've lost myself.
Well, while you think about that, it's funny because when you walked in, I was setting up. It'll come back.
I can't believe it.
It'll come back.
I was talking about taking off my clothes. Like, Mr. Rogers, man. How did I forget Mr. Rogers? Okay, go ahead.
Well, you just said Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, but I was trying to reiterate, and I was like, I just said his name.
Okay.
And I forgot that. But no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, when you watch, Scott Weiland from STP and Velvet Revolver.
Yeah.
The guy was just by far, again, my opinion, one of the greatest frontmen the world's ever seen. One of the greatest voices ever heard.
His range was just insane.
Yeah, I mean, it was more of just his performance and deliverables in the sense that, I don't know, it's just that
he had that star power.
Yes.
He genuinely felt like a rock star, and that's something you don't feel a lot.
He totally owned it, and he just was unstifled. But when he would come out, and he started doing this later, like with Velvet Revolver especially, he would come out with layers. And as the show would go, and he's not the first one to do this, but I know because David Lee Roth would do it, and maybe Steven Tyler and some other people.
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury. But the way he did it was just like, dude,
Yeah, just truly,
Dude is swagged
owned
out.
it, you know?
Totally owned it.
And like that was
Like a nut.
right. And like that right there is how I wanted people to feel about me owning my show.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a good host where I let somebody talk, but at the same time, my personality's in there. And I really, really wanted to give my audience an audience or I could say, fuck it. I'm from Robinson County, North Carolina. Audience. But
the N is hurting.
yeah, for sure.
The N got beat up.
But yeah, I just wanted to be able to do that. And like I said, shouting out to Mr. Rogers and doing that like opening and just how Mr. Rogers would make his audience feel comfortable and how Johnny Carson always had this suave, fun, sexy appeal to him. And David Letterman just always felt like he knew what the next thing was to say.
Right.
And just kind of also tying into like horror hosts and there's little things that we have on the show like this episode was filmed in front of a dead studio audience, and we take laughters and stuff like that from old sitcoms, which are probably all dead because the sitcoms are from the 40s and 50s, so these people are probably dead. So like we'll use their laughter and stuff. And, you know, we do all these different types of things, and then we have segments and stuff like that. And like I said, you know, we have a segment that's called bad horror movie advice or horror movie advice. And then it comes in, it's my characters. There's Casey Rogers from Victims of Burial. There's Zoe, my very first ever Instagram killer from my Instagram series. Steven Strick, the professional wrestler horror character that I've been working on with Walter Strickland for, nearly a decade now. And like, we go, every single one of them is like, they give bad horror movie advice or they give horror movie advice for characters. And then we also have this character that we have who does like infomercials, because we have commercial break and he'll do an infomercial for a product. And, you know, so we got brands that come in and be like, we want you to do this. And he's like this puppet. So we got a puppet named Buck. He's like, how y'all? My name's Buck. And he pitches these things. So it's like, it's a full on show. You know, and then at the end we got the musical guest, and the musical guest comes is via music video that I produce, and I give a little brief synopsis about making the video and everything, and then I air it for everybody who's going to be watching it across all these streaming platforms. So the band, like, this is the thing, kind of coming back to directing.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too, I hate that there's these directors out there that charge these local bands an arm and a fucking leg and give them nothing. They don't give them any promotion. They don't give them anything like that. And these local bands get in their head that just because this director did this main artist, that maybe somehow that's going to be the next step for them. And they spend $5-6 grand for 400 views on YouTube. It just destroys the musician. It destroys the band and just depletes their pockets.
Right.
I can't do that. And I'm going to charge for what I feel that I'm worth. But if I can give them something, like I used to with Pfeiffer Frost, like I used to on stage when I had my variety show, and I would give them that platform and go, hey guys, here's my audience. Perform
it's a platform.
Your ass off.
Yeah.
Right.
It's up to you now, you know.
Exactly. And that's what I want to do whenever I do a music video and I give it my all, because I worked my ass off on it too. I want to show it to everybody as well. So if I can say, hey guys, look what we made, and make them be musical guests on the show, it's wonderful. So I have that. And then at my closing at the end, you know, I take my blazer, throw it over my shoulder, and I give my little sign off, and I walk through the curtains, and it's done. And the whole time we've got music playing. My friend JFab, he's like, I call him a synthwave rapper because his stuff is so gloomy. Like imagine like Noah Shabib, who produces like all of Drake's stuff. Imagine him in synthwave, and then you've got like JFab rapping over it. But he's an amazing instrumentalist. And he's the in-house musician, and he's there via webcam, and we have him on this monitor, and he's there with a little webcam, and it and we have the little VCR and everything, and it's dope. So
when's this thing launching?
We're looking at March, but with everything that happened with the company, you know, we had to double back a little bit. So We're looking at spring. We're definitely. Well, I'm really hoping no later than April. Yeah, because it's not really a matter of whether or not the content's going to be ready. It's whether or not legally are we safe and sound. Because
there's no rush. I mean, you guys, this is an infrastructure, you know.
For
the
sure.
content's going to be amazing.
Thank you, man.
I already know.
And I can't wait to bring you on the show. One thing I'm loving that I do, and I said this, we talked a little bit about it earlier, so I guess I'll go ahead and say it. It's not sealed in stone. It's sealed in stone because we already started working on it, but still, Andy Schrock is going to be coming on and doing the show, and I'm making him watch this really, really B skateboarding horror movie that's called Night Skater or something
Is it
like
going to be
that.
like a reaction?
No,
or,
I just really want to choose really crazy B horror movies and throw them at my guests. Like
before they're on.
Well, yeah, because we review the movies. That's what we do. Like we review whatever movie
Gotcha.
that we're doing.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I'm going to make them watch a movie they never in their life would have fucking watched.
Yeah.
And they're just like, why am I watching this fucking movie? Because what we do is that there's a segment called The Breakdown. We have multiple segments on it. There's 5 O'Connor somewhere where Greg makes a drinking game for people who haven't watched the movie yet.
That's cool.
And then we also have Better Names where I give better names for the movie. And it's like, if maybe this name didn't match, so here's a better name for it.
Right.
And then, like we did for one of our test episodes for a rehearsal, we did House of Wax. And I called it Wax Tree Hill because it's got the it's got the dude from One Tree Hill in it. That was one of the better names for it, was Wax Tree Hill. So, but yeah, that's what we do. And then we go into the breakdown. And what the breakdown does is it's 5 of us. It's the 5 categories that we deem to make a good horror movie, a great horror movie. So there is scares, effects, characters, story, and sex appeal. So those are the 5 categories. And then the 3 of us discuss each category. And then we write down our rating on our whiteboards. And then at the end, we flip our whiteboards around and we decide what we do. So like if Ruby gives it 4 stars, Greg gives it 3 stars, and I give it 2 stars, we see how many stars we get in each category. So 2 out of 3 stars would give that category a star. So then the show will overall give that movie that rating.
Right.
So that's what I think is really cool is that it is 5 for Frost, but at the end of the day,
It's so much more though.
right.
Yeah.
My rating isn't the end all be all.
Right.
And I'm not going to say what movie we did last night, but we gave our fucking first 5-star. And I was like, I don't even know if this deserves 5 stars. Like, because I was really, really hell bent on effects. Like their visual effects in that movie was so bad it pissed me off that I was not giving it a star. But Greg and Ruby were like, no, the special effects were so good we didn't care about the visual effects. And the movie ended up getting 5 stars. Great fucking picture though. I'll tell you what it is. I'm not trying to spoil anything. I'll tell you what it is when we get off the air.
Sure.
But, yeah, for sure. Like that is the direction of the show, and I love it. And like I said, we're doing 10 episodes. It'll be bingeable, and then we stream for 10 weeks. And then while those 10 weeks are going on, we go ahead and do another one. And here's the great part, and it's a little bit of advice that I can give to anybody: is creating micro content out of stuff. Mm-hmm. Literally, for one episode, we're able to create 4 pieces of content from Monday to Sunday.
That's it.
So 7 days a week, I have 4 pieces of content for 10 fucking weeks.
That's why we talk. That's why we've been talking for an hour and a half.
Oh, for sure.
Because
you could just fucking clip this into anything. Yeah.
The promos.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm done. That's it. And I go through, I make my ticks in Premiere, my green tick marks. Boom, boom, boom. Export.
Word. Yeah. You know what? I gotta talk with you about how you do your thing, because I hired 2 editors, man. I would love to hear how you edit this podcast, because man, it's a bitch. I straight up hired 2 editors because I was like, I'm not watching 2.5 hours of us talking to clip from camera to camera.
I started that way, but yeah, I'll show you how to do it.
Word, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, that's gonna be
Nothing fancy, just trial and error, and finding ways to make it work.
Man, we've got 6 angles. I want to say we've got 6 angles that we do, and like cutting back and forth 6 angles. Oh my god, I'm just so over it.
I think there's automation. I haven't played with it.
What?
I've got a guy who is in New York.
So stoked about this automation.
who he told me there's automation in Premiere, and they're like with live. Well, you would have to watch the whole thing, but you could in real time, instead of cutting, you're just hitting automation as far as, okay, I want to hit this angle. The blind eye and blind eye on your tracks. You're able to do that, and actually saves that data. And then
Oh man.
That's what I think he told me. Somebody's probably gonna read me the riot act on YouTube if I'm wrong, but
Well, Joe, definitely tell him I'll give him a dirty, sensual back rub. if I can figure it out.
He's a boss, man. Yeah, my friend.
Because I need that, man. It's hell. Like I literally and
I
got my editing team, but if I could teach them to edit it faster too, fucking wonderful.
But again, it's never right unless you do it yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. They've been waiting for me. Like, they're like, okay, well, we're waiting to see you cut an episode first. And I'm like, but I don't want to. It's been the thing, man.
And there's certain things I do that I think make it a little bit more human than just, scrub, cut. But yeah, well, I'll show you. One last bullet point real quick.
Yes, sir.
Future plans for you. Obviously... we still didn't hit everything, but
yeah, we've talked forever. Future plans.
You got the company being built in a broader scale now. You've got the show, which I'm just as excited about for you as you are.
Thank you. I'm so stoked.
And looking forward to being on. It'll be cool. Let's just say 5 to 10 years out, man. I'm
gonna keep doing the show. Like, I'm coming for Carson's 30. I'm coming for Letterman's 30.
Okay.
Like, I want...
So even more so than directing and
Yeah, I'm still going to do that. One of the things, too, that I realized is that there's not enough original content in the horror genre. Everybody worships the idols of before, Myers and Voorhees and all of that.
Yeah.
I really, really want to create characters that I have. I want to create, granted the show is about, us talking about other people's movies, but I want to create my own movies. And that's why there's my characters. Like if you look at my set and any of my design, there's nothing that isn't mine.
Right.
All of it is ours. Like I don't have like a little Funko Pop of Voorhees or anything. Like, no, it is 100% ours. And my whole thought process in that was being able to create something and bring it to a level that is our own. So with Zoe and Casey and Strick, granted, they're just doing a horror movie segment where they give horror movie advice, but it's introducing these characters to the audience. And then I can go and do a Zoe movie and people care.
Right.
I can go do a Steven Strick movie and people can care. And that's the thing too, is that Ari is playing Zoe. So Ari is actually taking the Zoe mask and she is creating a burlesque routine and a freak show routine. And we are incorporating that with the character. And Pfeiffer Frost presents Ariana Teisinger as Zoe, and she's taking it on the road. Steven Strick, he's a professional wrestler. He is taking his character. We've designed his mask. We've designed all of that stuff. His character, his backstory. We're doing movies with him. We got the segments. He's also going out there and he's hitting the road as a professional wrestler as this character. And we're going to end up doing books about victims of burial and Casey Rogers. And he's going to have his own like little series and stuff like that, which is played by Wasif Allah. So these guys, these people in my life that are, they work so hard to help these characters come to life. They have pieces of these characters that they can take with them that they don't necessarily just have to do on the show. And then we can create, if Zoe wants her own show, if Zoe deserves her own show, if fans want a Zoe show, I can do that. If fans want a Strick show, I can do that. The one of those movies, books.
Right. I remember you and I having this conversation a couple years back. I'm just glad to see that the vision's still there.
Thank you, man. That's definitely been the goal. I've been taking everything that I know and do. And here's the best part. And because we didn't even talk about this, my book series, because I wrote...
It's a whole other angle.
Right.
Yep. And you're an author as well.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't talk about it a lot, but the book series Grimewood, in the studio for Pfeiffer Frost, there's a map of Grimewood that I created. And there's in the mountains of Mount Arios, there's a pin, and it says, "You are here." And when you look at it and you look over at the desk, you look out the window that's behind me and you see the mountains. So my show is actually located in my fictional city of Grimewood. And so is all of my characters.
Right.
So when my book comes out, my books, because we got another book coming out called The Defectives Club that is going to be coming out this year after the show launches, that is also based in the same world as these characters are on Pfeiffer Frost. So it's all within the same world. And that is kind of my thing, keeping it all within and that was inspired coming all the way back to the beginning of our conversation by Kevin Smith and his View Askew universe.
Right.
So just keeping it all together, giving the platform for these characters and creating my own original content that rides on the back of what I create, not necessarily what the people of the past have done. Like the Stephen Strick serial killer, even though he's a mass killer, very deadpan. And he's also kind of an anti-hero. The same thing with Zoe. Zoe is an anti-hero. She's out there killing terrible men, but she's breaking the fourth wall and she's like talking shit. And like, it's almost like a female Deadpool. And then you've got Casey Rogers, who is he's played by Wasif, and he is a stoner. He's a black stoner ghost hunter, and it is hilarious watching him get freaked out about ghosts. I love it because at the end of the day, what is Wasif? A black stoner ghost hunter. So he is basically just playing himself, and it's fucking amazing. So just kind of giving that little world, because I would love to one day have like Wasif have his own ghost, adventures type of thing where it would be so great just watching him take a camera out there into the woods.
It gives you room to see really what your fan base wants, in multiple facets. It's cool, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Are you ready for this last bit?
Yes, let's do it, man. Let's do it.
So
my Dean Ambrose jacket.
The shootout, pretty famous at this point on the show. I'm going to give you a word or a couple words, and you just throw back right at me in a unstifled, in judgment-free zone fashion. Just
how many? So you said 12?
Yeah.
So I want to say vagina 12 times.
That word. Well, here's the thing.
Kidding.
You can only say it once because
there's a lot of words for vagina, sir.
The whole point of this is to just see what's going on.
Yeah. So all right. I'll clear the head. I'm actually going to play by the rules. I'm not going to try to make it funny.
Vagina.
Is that really
No.
Oh.
Just gonna
I was about to say.
I'll just play it into it.
I was like, damn, he's got me.
Steadicam.
Oh, I thought Ronin. Oh. I like Steadicams more than Ronins. Oh, that's sad. Okay. We're off to a sad fucking start here, man. All right, go ahead.
Gimbal.
Ronin.
You can't say Ronin again.
Okay.
Next thing that comes to mind.
Symbols.
Okay. Lighting.
Oh, man. Gordon Willis.
Okay. Yeah. Lens.
Vertigo.
Oh. That fisheye?
It's the Vertigo pull that he would do.
Okay.
Yeah, they would dolly in and or they would dolly out and zoom in at the same time. And that's what would create that Vertigo pull that Hitchcock used in Vertigo.
Right. I'm gonna have to go back and review that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Dude, that is one of the greatest techniques ever created in filmmaking. And Hitchcock invented
So you're pulling focus while you're...
No, you're zooming.
You're
zooming in on your subject while you're dollying out. And it makes the background get bigger. Yeah, it's insane, dude. Like
cool.
And Hitchcock invented it whenever he passed out at a cocktail party because the room did that. So he got the idea and told his cinematographer.
Sick, man.
Yeah, and that's what they use on the movie Vertigo.
See, this is why I do this because it just small. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Camera.
Black Magic.
That is your thing, man.
They don't love me as much as I love them, but
that is your signature.
Yes,
for sure.
And it's because going back, we just said Richard Walter, and we just said Vertigo and all that. I love the cinema look, man. And people complain about the Black Magics because they're so hard to grade, and I'm like, yeah. Like if you're not into that workflow, don't get a Black Magic. Black Magic's going to work your ass off.
Well, they're very, to me, they are sterile. They're very digital, but damn, they're crisp.
I don't actually. It's funny you said they're digital because I never get the feeling because you get the cleanest grain naturally.
Really?
Yeah.
Because to me, the Canons are very, very grainy in a film way.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong, dude. For years, my favorite camera was the Canon C1, the Canon 1DC. Mm-hmm. And oh man, I was like the idea that you could have a Canon DSLR. and at the same time be able to shoot in RAW and C-Log and ProRes and then still be able to take photos. And it's like, it feels like the 5D, but just like fucking monstrous, like brawn. Like
But you on a Black Magic, man, that is just you.
Thank you, man.
That is just you.
And I have felt that way since I first saw Black Magic release. With the first BMCC, I was like, that is it right there.
Yeah. There's a clear, and when I say sterile, there's a cleanliness, there's a clarity there that, I mean, even other cameras that are in the $100,000-$200,000 range, they can't. I don't know.
There's just something about the Black Magic, man.
It's called that magic for a reason. That pocket cinema, you know,
Absolutely.
whatever it is. Set.
Rep your set.
Makeup.
My beautiful wife.
Yeah. One of the best as far as makeup in general that I've seen.
She's so good, man. She's so good. And she is,
and she's here.
Yeah, she's here. She just got here. She's so good. It annoys me how good she is because, okay, let me get some started on some Ruby shit real quick. The other day, she's having like almost a little panic attack and she's like freaking out because she rushed her makeup. And she's like, it looks so bad. And I was like, where? And she was like, just look at my face. And I'm like, nothing. And then she says, okay, you see right here, look real close, real close. See how it's uneven? And I'm like, who the fuck's going to be that close to your face? Like,
you.
Right. But I didn't even notice
don't
it. I didn't even notice it. I just learned that she thought her nose, I mean, she always said her nose was crooked. And I was like, your nose ain't crooked. And she finally showed me. I was like, your nose is still perfect. But no, it's like, that's 100% my wife. She's so good that she has to tell herself that she's not as good as she thinks she is so she can be at a level where she can feel comfortable with herself. And that's fine. That's fine. She doesn't want to deal with the fact that she's perfect. That's on her. That's not my fucking fault.
You guys crack me up. Plot.
Family plot, actually. Can I include the word?
Yeah.
It's a Hitchcock movie. Have you ever seen it?
I've heard of it. I haven't.
Dude, it's the last movie he made. It's fucking amazing. Definitely check it out. The only thing that would have been better is if at the very end Hitchcock would have walked in and winked at the camera. That would have been the only thing that would have made that movie better. If like he did his last cameo and winked at the camera,
right?
Because he died 2 years after that.
Did he have a cameo in that film?
Yeah.
Because he was always in every single one of his, right?
He started doing cameos as kind of a little gag because they didn't have enough extras, so he would kind of put himself in it,
right?
And then it became a signature, and then it kind of became a badge of like luck. Where he said, like, I think one time he didn't do a cameo in one of his movies, and it didn't do well in the box office. So he felt like,
a little superstitious.
Yeah, he got really superstitious about it. And then after that, he was like, for luck, he would do a cameo.
Gotcha. I never knew that. Editing.
Mark Mayer, my ex-business partner. Shout out to him. When is this going to air?
Dude, this is the 6th one this week, so hopefully I can get it cranked out in the next like 3 weeks.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, all right.
I'm pretty backed up right now.
Okay, so that's fine. Yeah. Okay, by then he should have left. He worked with VaynerMedia for Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he just put in his letter of resignation and quit on Monday, and he is going to Boy in the Castle, which is Colin Tilley's company that does the biggest music videos in LA. And he's going in to work under Colin.
Cool, man.
Shout out to Mark Mayer, one of the best motherfucking editors in the business. I learned everything.
He's going to LA.
He lives in LA.
Oh, yeah. He's in LA.
He's lived in LA for a long time, and he is one of the hardest workers, man. Whenever I was talking about learning how Hollywood cuts and doing Hollywood shit, it's through Mark, man. I would not have done any of that stuff without him.
Yeah.
He's fucking amazing, and he is a treasure, and Colin is lucky to have him on his team, and Vayner was lucky to have him on their team for so long as well, because I've just been lucky to have the dude as a friend and as a former business partner. So I'm so excited for him. So yes, editing at the end of the day, always Mark Mayer.
That's cool. If he's ever in North Carolina or if I'm in California sometime soon, we gotta.
Oh, for sure.
Gotta have him on.
Yeah, absolutely. He is from Fayetteville. He's a North Carolina boy.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah, he's coming back to Fayetteville. He wants to move to Charlotte. That is the thing. When he comes back. A lot of things
are happening in Charlotte. I was just out there for a shoot, and we actually did a podcast the day
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that on your story.
With Mooney and Zayak. Hilarious guys. But yeah, there's a lot going on down there.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that he wants to come back and run an agency. He runs Bonfire LLC,
Okay.
and his goal is, he's always said that the best movies or the best stories ever told was around a bonfire, and that's what he wants to do with Bonfire, is tell those stories and tell people stories. And I'm excited for him, man. And I don't know when he's coming back. Now he's got that a job at Boy in the Castle. I don't know when he's coming back, but when he does, North Carolina is going to be happy to have the boy back.
That's cool. Music.
Hell. That industry, man. I feel bad for everybody in the industry.
It's true, man.
It is hell.
It's true.
You have to be prepared for hell. If like, dude, I straight up like now whenever I'm on,
nobody ever is.
no, dude, whenever I'm on set with musicians, I always shake their hand now and I'm like, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, dude.
That is, who would have thought that musicians would have been the bottom rung of the totem pole? I never thought that. Dude, their authors are treated better than musicians now, and that's just insane to me.
Well, it's a perspective thing too. I think some people are just there because they, people make choices, man. But at the same time, yeah,
it's tough.
It's tough as hell, man.
They love it. They love it so much. You love it. Hell, I love it. I'm a musician too. You probably will never see me in a band again. I've been waiting, man. I've been waiting for somebody to be like, wait, don't you play bass? Because like,
I thought you were on keys.
I do keys too.
Okay.
I play guitar. I play bass. I play keys. I can do a little bit of drums. I can do synth stuff.
Okay.
I can rap. I can scream. I can sing. I do all of it, but I hate that fucking like world, man. It's so tough. Like I was in a crunkcore band. Yes, I was in a crunkcore band. I was the rapper in a crunkcore band. I'm actually like Michael from Broken Side. Yeah, we're cool, man.
Oh, that's great.
I love Michael, man. He's a great guy. But yeah, like I was in a crunkcore band, man.
Actors/actresses.
Ariana Teisinger. The best of the best, man. I will go down in my career saying that she is the best. No offense, because you're a great actor too. But Ari, man, like I said, she makes gold out of everything. And yo, straight up, dude, I remember watching your demo reel. There's that scene where you're walking around, you got the tight white t-shirt on.
Oh yeah, the Believers, yeah.
Yeah, and you're walking around the truck and everything. I remember like Ruby was sitting right there next to me and she was like, him? Ooh boy, get him. Yeah, so but yeah, just so you know that, yeah. And plus you killed that scene too. Talking about actors, you absolutely killed that scene.
Appreciate
and it
man.
was that scene and a scene in Ari's demo reel that I was like, they're gonna kill it together.
Well, I would love to. Her and I were talking about this on the show when she was on last year. Like, maybe it was after the cameras were off. Like, man, we got to do something. You know,
you've got to. You guys,
we all
got to. I got to somehow write it in there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's awesome. Awesome, no doubt about it. Horror.
Three names came to my mind.
For me, it was blood. But it's not.
Three names came to my mind.
I'm basic bitching that.
But I think I'm going to go with one name because, of course, there's directors that influenced me. But I think the thing that influenced me the most was Cameron Romero.
Okay.
And that's George Romero's son. And whenever I started working on Victims of Burial, I met Cameron. And he kind of, in a brief little span, we didn't get a chance to know each other too long. He's still a great guy. But for some reason that week, he just threw me underneath his wing. And I learned so much from George Romero's son. And I was kind of starstruck because I was like, yo, this is George Romero's son. Holy shit. And we were on the phone and I didn't want to like bring up George stuff, but like he was like, call me immediately. Cause I was about to go do some press stuff for Victims of Burial. And he gave me some of the best advice of my life, man. And I hold on to that to this day, a lot of the advice. And it's personal advice, it's industry stuff. A lot of it is very dated because Cameron has been in Hollywood for so long that it probably doesn't work this way anymore. But I took these things. And honestly, I don't think I would have had the strength to keep pushing forward in this genre if it wasn't for Cameron like giving me advice and saying, do this. Like kind of coming back to Five for Frost, I was so worried that I told people I would never do Five for Frost again. I said that I'm never going to do Five for Frost again. And here I am doing it again. But I remember going...
Well, I just laughed because you're saying it, and I remember seeing all the posts, and
right.
I'm not doing it again.
Right.
I'm not doing it again. Damn it.
I'm not, but here I am. And I think about what Cameron said to me. Cameron said he would never do a zombie movie because his dad was the king of zombie movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fucking, you know, Dusk Till Dawn and all of that, you know, Night of the Living Dead. Well, I said Dusk Till Dawn. I meant Day of the Dead and stuff like that, and Dawn of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead, etc. He said he was never going to do zombie movies, but yet he's currently in production of a zombie movie. And I asked him, I was like, why did you say that to the press then your whole life? And he said, because whenever I start to make a zombie movie, the press is going to call me out on it and say, didn't you say this? And he's like, now I'm in the press for free. And I never fucking forgot that.
Interesting. Yeah.
And that's how I feel right now. If people want to start posting anything and be like, hey, Jaiden, I thought that you said you were never going to do Five for Frost again, and people post statuses, or if somebody asks me that, it just makes...
Free stimulation, free
Absolutely.
marketing.
Absolutely.
Release date.
Hell. No. Actually, I like release date goes deadline. That was the first thing that came to my head was deadline. And I love deadlines. I'm one of the few people that really, really fuck with deadlines.
Very, very, very important.
It is
very important.
I love them when they're thrown at me. I hate it like
whenever, because it has to get done.
Yeah.
You got to have something.
I can't stand it whenever like a client hires me and they like, I go, well, when do you want this done? And they go, well, whenever you get around to it. Dude, you'll get this bitch in 8 months. You get, if you say tomorrow, you'll get it tomorrow.
Right.
If you say whenever I'll get to it,
right.
Good luck.
Right. Two more fun ones for you.
All right.
Cheer wine.
Nectar of the Gods.
Last one. Taco Bell.
Greatest food ever. See, this is what's sad. Okay.
I know, because I know you dropped this stuff a while ago.
I did, man. I still love Taco Bell.
Dude, Taco Bell is literally heaven on earth.
I mean, love Taco Bell so much, but I had to pause it.
It's pretty healthy, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like, I'm really into cooking now, and I cook at home all the time.
Yeah, save money, and it's fresh, it's organic.
Right,
come on.
And Cheerwine, I love Cheerwine. I wish they would come out with a Cheer Zero because their Diet Cheerwine's not great. I've never liked Diet Cheerwine, but Cheer Zero would be perfect, kind of like Pepsi One and all of that. And we went out the other night. Went on a date because I'm always spoiling Ruby in this way. I'm always taking her out any chance that I get because of the idea that I love going out to eat. Whenever I was homeless, that was such a big deal to me. So taking her out to eat now is like, I'm going to spoil this beautiful woman and I'm going to take her out. And I love it. Like literally we were at the restaurant and like she got hit on. Some man like walked up to me, talked to me about my hat and was like, whoa, she is pretty. That is a keeper. And I'm like, that's my wife, But she got a Cheerwine. And I took a sip of it, and I was like, that is a good cheer wine. It was out of the bottle, cane sugar and everything. And then I took the next sip, and I was like, I'm done. I didn't want any. I just don't drink a lot of soda anymore.
Right.
And it became too much for me. And I feel that way about Taco Bell. Like, if I make tacos at home, I'm fine. But if I go to Taco Bell, it's just like, I eat one, and I'm like, I'm good. Like, I don't really need anything else. But interestingly enough, and we'll close on that with this. When I was homeless, man, remember how we're talking about whether you're moving like a little step or a big step?
Yeah.
Every day was a success for me because I would wake up with the same intentions. Today, I'm going to have a Cheerwine and I'm going to have Taco Bell. Those are my two things that I would do. And I wouldn't know how I would do it, but I would do it. That was my only goal. It would simplify my life to a way that I was like, I can get $3. I don't know how I'm going to get $3, but I'm going to do it. And I don't know how I'm going to get a ride to Taco Bell, but I'm going to do it. And that was my goal every day. And I would achieve that. And that is what kept me alive and well and going. Minus the fact that I was gaining a lot of weight from eating Cheerwine and Taco Bell, but it was a
resilience.
Mm-hmm. It's when you have a little goal, if you have a goal at all,
yeah,
and you can achieve that, easily, or even with some difficulty. It's sometimes it's tough. Like I didn't know where I was going to get the money at, but I would do it. Those things would keep me going. And that's my advice to anybody, man, is like, just find a goal and keep doing it. Even if it's something as simple as Cheerwine and Taco Bell every day, you find a way to do it. But yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you, dude.
So last question. And I ask everybody this one.
All right.
If you could go back in time to your 15-year-old self, knowing what you know now, with the life experiences that you have, what would you tell them?
The people whose opinions you care about most legitimately do not matter. They don't. And I would have done a lot more in my life. I would have done a lot more in my youth had I have realized that people's opinions around me didn't matter, be it teachers or friends or people who opposed me and didn't like me. And I worried about what this beautiful girl will think or what that person will think or any of that stuff. I used to care so much about that. And then I realized I don't care about anybody's opinion. I didn't go to my 10-year high school reunion. I was like, there's two things that's going to happen when I go there. People are going to kiss my ass saying, I always believed in you, or they're going to snub me off like they did in high school. But either which way, not everybody believed in me in high school. And anybody that I cared about in high school is either on my Facebook or still talks to me. So I didn't need to go back and impress anybody. I didn't need to go back and show them that I did something because their opinions didn't matter then and it doesn't matter now. And it's the same thing that I worry about now. You know, if I think about everybody, just like going back to that story, talking about the guy who owned the Fayetteville Feed and how he treated me, I used to value his opinion so much. It doesn't mean shit anymore. Like none. And not saying he doesn't mean shit, but I'm just not in that place anymore. You know, he's probably somewhere else and his opinion matters to somebody else, but it doesn't matter to me now. But I based a big chunk of my life on that. So I would tell that little 15-year-old fucker that, you know what? You're doing fine. Keep doing things. Keep doing what you want to do. And stop worrying about what people are going to think about you. Because you're way too caught up in what you're doing, and they're way too caught up in what they're doing.
Right.
For either one of you to give a shit about one another truly. And that would be my advice, man.
Any last words?
Yeah, everybody who's listening, get the fuck out there and do something, man.
Yeah.
14 weeks ago, I didn't have a TV show. 14 weeks ago, I literally got out of bed and I turned to my wife and I said, let's go look at units to build a studio. And she said, honey, we don't have the money for that. And I was like, I know. Now here I am. I didn't know where the money was coming from. I didn't know where anything was coming from. I just did it. And I kept doing it and I didn't stop. And like I said, whether it was an inch or a mile, I was moving every day. Those are my last words for people. Please get the fuck out there and do something, because life doesn't wait for you to do anything. You got to do it. And I am so grateful for everything. I'm grateful for every little thing in my life. And that is another thing. If we can slash this and you have another thing I lead out on, be grateful. Be truly grateful for everything. Celebrate your wins and bask in your losses. Learn from your losses. Truly appreciate life from every up and down. Like that's at the end of the day what matters most. Anytime I roll over and I put my hand on my wife and I look at her, I smile because I know one day I'm not going to have her. Whether I'll be dead or she'll be dead, one of us won't be there with one another. Hopefully we'll be 90 fucking years old, but one day that's going to be the thing. And I'll be damned if I waste a single second of a moment with her out of complacency or expectancy. I value every moment of my life, good or bad. So get the fuck out there and do something to make it the best life that you can.
I have nothing to add to that. Description box. Send me the links. We'll get you hooked up. And yeah, just the social media handles real quick.
You want to follow me anywhere? It's Mr. Jaiden Frost. If you want to follow the show, it's 5 for Frost. Five for FOR. Frost is in Jack. So There you go. Find us anywhere.
Thanks for tuning in. I have nothing to add to this, so
Thank you guys.
we'll see you guys on the next one.
Deuces.
Peace.